In Syria, the US-led coalition says it has killed more than 100 pro-regime fighters in Deir ez-Zor province. It says it happened after the headquarters of the US-backed Syrian Democratic Forces came under attack by the regime. Well, Talha Kose is an associate professor of political science at Istanbul's Ibn Haldun University. He joins me now live. Thank you so much for your time, Professor. Good to see you. Just how important is this development? How often has the US coalition attacked pro-regime forces as opposed to Daesh?
I think there was a tacit agreement between the Syrian regime forces and United States during the fight against the Daesh. But in the summertime, there were some confrontations between the regime and US and Syria Democratic Forces, YPG, because Syria Democratic Forces controlled the oil fields at Kushman and the majority of the oil fields in the eastern part of the Syria. So this was very important because the oil fields were important source of revenue both for Daesh, and at the same time it was very important for the regime. So and we see that US has long-term plans in that part of the Syria, and it is turning into a sensitive issue for the regime to take control of that areas, especially the areas which are very important for financial stability regime in Syria. So it seems that there will be more confrontations at that field, not only for the economic issues, but at the same time for the sovereignty of that part. This is also connected with the US plans with the Syria. As you know, 2 weeks ago, Secretary of State Tillerson mentioned about their long-term plans in Syria, which means a long-term US presence at that part of the Syria. And that's at the same time not only a sensitive issue for the Syrian regime, but a sensitive issue for Iran. So it's the tension is increasing between both regime forces and Iran, and between the US-backed groups in that part of the Syria.
So many competing interests in that part of the world. US Central Command didn't say exactly who the group was who attacked the SDF base, calling them only pro-regime. So could this be the Russian army, or what groups could they be talking about? Because surely whoever that group is, it will have some sort of lasting or fairly important geopolitical fallout.
Yeah, it seems that it's unlike the Russian forces. And most likely, we know that the regime forces do not have the capacity to control even the areas that are in the western part of the country. So most likely, Iranian-backed groups and Iranian-backed militias that are working under the regime or cooperating with the regime may be the probable actors in that. So because the regime doesn't have capacity to control the region. And the other thing is that the establishment of a secure zone for US-backed groups in that area, at the same time, long-term security challenge for Iran, because as we know that US have plans to keep Iran out of Syria, and this is one of the objectives of long-term presence of US in that part of Syria. So it seems that in addition to the regime, Iran is also unhappy about the US presence. So they want to take the control of that part, not only for the regime, but also in order to constrain the US activities in that region. And also there seems that there will be more pressure on Hezbollah, not only with Syria, but Iran. So one of the long-term objectives of the US is to reduce Iranian presence both in Syria and Iraq. And I think this effort is also connected. This confrontation is at the same time connected to that effort.
Thank you so much for that, really making it simple. Thank you so much for that. That is Talha Kose, an associate professor of political science.